Knuckles, also known by his Latin name Canucules, is one of the most recognizable faces in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. Is Sonic's original rival turned buddy, Knuckles has appeared in countless pieces of Sonic media over the years, including getting his own show on Paramount Plus. But this isn't Knuckles' first solo miniseries. No, that honor goes to the Archie Comics series, Sonic's friendly nemesis, Knuckles. Now, it's generally agreed that Knuckles comics are overly complicated and needlessly melodramatic, but it's the first miniseries. It can't be that wild. Can it?
You're now watching Vindo.
Alright, starting out with issue 1, we've got a cover of Knuckles and the Master Emerald and another echidna with way too tangled dreads. And then a different Knuckles. What's going on with his chin? Featuring the mystery question mark of Archimedes and an extra special guest appearance by the Chaotix. I can't wait to read the wacky hijinks these guys get up.
Of the countless natural wonders on the planet Mobius, none can compare to the awe and majesty of the fabled floating island. Its secrets, including those of the legendary Chaos Emerald, are preserved and protected by Knuckles the Echidna. He is the most unique double-edged sword and a culture back to the depths. But buried home in the most advanced society with precious memories of that is where our story begins.
Okay. Here we go. We're starting out in a temple. Knuckles has the moniker World's Greatest Treasure Hunter by the time Sonic Adventure 2 rolls around, so it's really fun to see Knuckles working his way through a hidden temple kind of area. Knuckles is looking for the mysterious Archimedes, who we don't really know much about. Oh, we're flashback boys. Archimedes kidnapped the Chaotix.
See Sonic Select Volume 2.
Okay. Huh. Yeah. Sure enough. Anyway, he's been looking for answers as to why Archimedes has been taunting him, only to be led back to the myths and legends surrounding Mount Fate, a mysterious mountain that dates back to the origin of Angel Island floating in the sky.
As chronicled in Sonic Archives Volume 9.
Okay. Huh. Yeah. Sure enough. Two brothers, Edmund and Dimitri, hey, those are the guys from the cover, wish to return Angel Island back to the surface, but Dimitri goes mad with power and absorbs 11 of the 12 Chaos Emeralds?
Remember in Sonic Archives Volume 9?
Huh. Yeah. Sure enough. So Dimitri is buried under the ruins of his own dark tower beneath Mount Fate, and all of Knuckles' ancestors renounce their technology, bringing all their calculators and VCRs to a grand conservatory underneath Mount Fate, where Knuckles finds himself now. Knuckles follows some clues and picks up a gun, and eventually finds Archimedes and the captured Chaotix eating some spare ribs in a big computer room. Turns out Archimedes is a fire ant and also a magician and a member of a secret society that has helped echidnas since the origin of Angel Island. But before we can get too many answers as to what's going on, Dimitri, Knuckles' ancestor that was crushed by a bunch of rubble underneath Mount Fate, has returned, still empowered by the Chaos Emeralds, transforming him into Enerjak. I love this splash page. It's very Jack Kirby-esque, although I hate the way that they draw his mouth behind the mask all the time. Shut your jaw, Dimitri, you look like a fool. Anyway, Enerjak makes quick work of our heroes, brainwashing the Chaotix and banishing Archimedes and Knuckles to the dunes of Sandopolis. Speaking of Dune, issue 2's cover features a sick sandworm. Alright, let's open this one up and
Knuckles' ancestral heritage was one of Chaos ancestors belongs to their nation himself back to the present, but the floating island being no future for anyone.
What does that say? This intro page is so cool. Enerjak looks so badass whenever Spaz draws him, and then we get that juxtaposed with panels like this. I don't know, he just looks goofy. Don't draw the mouth on there. Anyway, back in Sandopolis, Archimedes and Knuckles argue for a bit as they wade through the desert before the sandworm from the cover, without spikes, interrupts them and then quickly dies from running into a big rut. Archimedes flame broils its corpse, and the two share a worm kielbasa before, oh, we're flashback boys. Archimedes explains that to save Angel Island from the threat of a lethal comet, the echidnas focus Chaos Emerald energy through a special cavern beneath the island. I guess if we throw enough magic rocks into the ground, we can negate gravity. But Archimedes then reveals that it wasn't just the emeralds. Fire ants themselves lifted the island out of the ground and into the sky.
See a sense of history in Sonic Archives Volume 9 if you don't believe us.
Okay. Huh. Yeah. Sure enough. After Dimitri went mad with power and became Enerjak for the first time, he built himself a dark tower to rule from. But the fire ants were in there and collapsed it, burying Enerjak between the rubble. From that moment, the Fire Ants have worked from generation to generation, pulling strings and helping Echidnas wherever they can. Archimedes tells Knuckles that that's why he's been doing all this, to test Knuckles and make sure he was up to the task of fending off the evil of Enerjak should he return. Which I do not feel like is a good enough excuse to be like, hey, I kidnapped your friends and left a bunch of cryptic and often lethal riddles for you. Also, can we talk about why were the Chaotix just fine with being kidnapped? Is this explained later, guys? Let me know in the comments if you read all of the Knuckles comics, because, like, this is insane to me, because they were seemingly missing for days, if not weeks or months, and when Knuckles walks in there in the first issue, they're just sort of like, oh, hey man, they're totally nonplussed to be saved by their good friend. But anyway, Enerjak heads over to the former site of Echidnopolis to raise his new city, Necropolis, which, kudos to him, that's a pretty badass name. Meanwhile, Knuckles tries to eat Archimedes. What? Why does this happen? If they were gonna do this, why didn't they do it before they ate the big worm? Wouldn't that make more sense? It seems like the big worm was big enough, you would have endless food for your journey. That thing was huge. You're telling me you ate all that? In like the day you've been in the desert? Why are you trying to eat your friend, Knuckles? After collapsing from the desert heat, Knuckles sees his father in the sky, Lion King style, and is led to an oasis. But after they gather some supplies, the oasis mysteriously vanishes. But all their supplies are still there, so it couldn't have been a mirage. Who could have done this and how?
We don't get the answers here.
Archimedes and Knuckles quickly find themselves in Enerjak's newly risen Necropolis, making short work of his robotic guards as they near his Citadel hideout. Once they make their way in, they're intercepted by the brainwashed combined powers of the Chaotix. Oh no! To defeat the bad guy, Knuckles has to fight his friends! Side note, I love that every time someone says the Chaotix, it's just a JPEG of the game logo. Like, I don't think it's written out in normal text, like, at all in this book. Anyway, issue 3 opens with... Wait. Issue 3 opens with Archimedes and Knuckles locked in combat with the Chaotix. After a bad Jim Carrey impression from Vector, smokin'! Enerjak interferes, knocking Archimedes and Knuckles out cold and forcing the Chaotix to bring the incapacitated heroes to his main chambers. In a long-winded monologue, Enerjak recounts the same things from the previous flashbacks, albeit from his own twisted point of view. Enerjak seems particularly salty about a bunch of fire ants collapsing his house, which, bro, I feel ya, I would be too. Knuckles hits Enerjak with the old "I'm not actually here" bit.
I am also a hologram!
And warns Enerjak that history might just repeat itself, shooting a wink to Archimedes. Suddenly, Archimedes' antenna glow, calling all of his ant brethren to his current location. Archimedes and Knuckles disappear into a cloud of smoke, but Enerjak won't be stopped by some cheap parlor trick.
Just as I have stemmed the flow of air from allowing you to breathe, I will... Oh, they vanished.
The Chaotix are called into action, interrupting their poker game. But Archimedes and Knuckles are too well camouflaged to be noticed by the Renegade team as they exit the Citadel. Then Archimedes and Knuckles teleport into an air vent, and they get the literal drop on Enerjak, who is not amused by this maneuver. Knuckles goads him into fist fighting him one-on-one without the use of chaos powers, just roasting this guy for being a big POS and putting his lust for power over the needs of those around him. Knuckles stalls long enough for a rocket to come crashing through the floor and shoot Enerjak and his Citadel into space. Knuckles glides himself and Archimedes down to the ground.
Shh, I gotta focus. I'm shifting the
Glide.
mode.
Where they reconvene with the fire ants down below, who reveal that they only created an escape route. They're not the ones who launched the rocket.
Rockets explode!
But if not them, who? Knuckles then roasts his friends, the Chaotix, who are feeling hungover now that their brainwashing is worn off. They all congratulate Knuckles on a job well done, and he gloats about learning from the past, which I guess is the moral of the story. And then they party! But who is the mysterious hooded echidna in the computer room? It's Knuckles' dad! He launched the rocket that sent Enerjak into space. Did he make the Oasis? Probably. How? Not explained here. I guess that doesn't matter. Does he at least reveal himself to his son who thought his father was long dead? No? Just vows to continue watching his son on TV? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's send some #1 dad mugs to Knuckles' father. Knuckles' father, ladies and gentlemen. Not to be confused with movie Knuckles' father, who seems to be an alright guy as far as we can tell at this very moment. Better than this guy, anyway. You can't get worse than this guy. What's up with that? Who does this? Archimedes and Knuckles reflect on their adventure together, beginning when Archimedes first started testing Knuckles. Remember Fire Drill way back in Sonic Select Volume 1? Oh, I don't have that one! But wait! The book ends with Enerjak's ominous laughter in space! Oh no! So that's it, the first Knuckles miniseries. If there's one highlight, it's Patrick Spaziante's brilliant cover pages and opening pages for each book. Spaz is the undisputed absolute GOAT of the original Sonic Archie Comics, contributing pieces through almost the entirety of its publication. His characters are always drawn in such dynamic poses, it makes you wish that he could have penciled every issue himself. There are some neat ideas here for sure. I like the dynamic between Knuckles and Archimedes, and I think like a threat from ancient Echidna past is a really interesting concept, but execution leaves a lot to be desired here. There's a really distracting clash of tone where the book will wax poetic in one panel and hit you with the worst pun you've ever heard in the next. Also, something I noticed while putting this video together, the artistic layout of each issue is exactly the same. This isn't something that's unheard of in comics. Watchmen's a really good example of this, but it's just something interesting I noticed. Each issue opens with a double splash page. The flashback pages are structured the same way and are on the same page number in each issue, and the bottom panels in the middle of the book always show a looming threat, the first two issues showing Enerjak gathering power, and the last issue showing the Rocket and Fire Ants coming to Knuckles' aid. Speaking of the Fire Ants, what? It seems like such a bizarre choice to focus on them so hard. I don't know, it's weird. I think one of the weirdest parts of it is that they're bug characters. I don't like bug Sonic characters, okay? I'm sorry, I'm just gonna come out and say it. Charmy's okay, they don't give him an extra set of arms. I think that helps. The extra set of arms is unsettling. I don't like that. Something that we need to keep in mind here is that this was during what I like to call the Sonic Wild West era. This is when there was no unified brand identity, and each region just kind of had its own lore. So the US had its own lore, Europe had its own lore, and Japan had its own lore. And it was all wildly different. All bizarre in their own ways, but wildly different. There's just so many weird and interesting choices made in this era in every region that you would never see in a Sonic title today. It's really interesting. So do I expect anything from the original Knuckles miniseries to end up in the new miniseries? Absolutely not, no. But it was definitely a fun, albeit wacky read. I would like to explore more of the bizarre corners of the Sonic universe, so let me know a weird Sonic topic you think I should cover down in the comments below, and if you liked the video, hit it with a thumbs up and share it with your friends. I really appreciate you helping the channel grow. We're on our way to 17,000 subscribers, and if we can get to 20,000 subscribers by the end of summer, I would be ecstatic. I thank you all so much for your support, especially the channel members. Thank you, I love you. We're wrapping up and Knuckles month here on the channel. I'll share my thoughts on the new TV show in a video sometime in early May, so be on the lookout for that. But as for weekly streams, we're leaning hard into the Fearless Year of Shadow campaign, baby. Expect a lot of Shadow the Hedgehog 2005 streams as I work my way through getting every story path in the game. You heard me correct. I am this insane. I'm going to get 326 story paths in Shadow the Hedgehog. This is a goal I've always wanted to accomplish, and it feels like the perfect year to make it happen. I hope you'll join me sometime in Vindo Live, Fridays at 5 p.m. Pacific time. But that's all for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching this. I'm gonna love you, I'm gonna miss you. Take care.
Sounds. You're now watching Vindo. I gotta go fast, catch up, you been slow, your win's low. Smell the burnt rubber on my midsole. Everything you do once, trust, we'll do it tenfold. You're now watching Vindo. You're now watching Rhodes. You're now watching Vindo.
Hey, Knuckles. Right on.